heart problem. Okay, but the rest of my circuits are all normal. Well, then that's pretty easy. All I got to do is go fix the power in that single circuit, and I'm done. But what if I measure every one of these and every one of them is low? If every one of them is low, if the total body voltage is low, then that's hypothyroidism until proven otherwise. So, because thyroid hormone controls both body temperature and body voltage. So I want to talk to you about thyroid function, because most of the people in this room are hypothyroid and don't know it. Now, there's this thing called metabolic syndrome X that has become the buzzword in medicine, and it has these 4 features. You have high blood pressure, apple-shaped obesity, type 2 diabetes, and increased blood fats, particularly cholesterol. So this has come to be known as metabolic syndrome X because you have 4 things. Well, in traditional medicine, we don't really understand why people get this, so we give you pills to lower that, pills to lower that, pills to lower that, and put a band around your stomach for that. But we really didn't fix it, did we? Metabolic syndrome X is primarily a function of type 2 hypothyroidism, which is epidemic in our country. So to talk about the hypothyroidism, I need to first talk about iodine. Now, the important thing to know is that when you give the body iodine, the thyroid gets first dibs on it, but often that's still not enough for the thyroid to function normally. But here's the deal. Every organ in the body that secretes something needs large amounts of iodine to function normally. Okay? Now, if you look at this list, and this is just a partial list, you'll see that many people have problem in these areas. Particularly, you know, women have trouble with breasts and ovaries, and men with prostates and so forth. But these are where people get cancer, isn't it? We get cancer in organs that secrete something. Now, the Japanese, who consume large amounts of iodine, have the lowest incidence of cancer of anybody on the planet. They do have lots of stomach cancer, and that's primarily because iodine is neutralized by the nitrates in the meats that they eat. But what you see is then that everybody needs lots of iodine for things to work correctly. Now, iodine will kill any single-celled organism. There isn't any bug that iodine won't kill, and the bugs can never become resistant to it, which is a neat thing. But liquid iodine is a problem in the sense that iodine doesn't like to go into solution with water. So Dr. Lugol figured out that if you put potassium iodide in water, then the iodine will go into solution. So water-based iodine is generally called Lugol solution. If you put it in alcohol, it's called tincture of iodine, which is what most of us in this room grew up buying at the drugstore and putting on cuts, right? So when you're taking iodine for the body, you don't want the alcohol, so you want to get it from Lugol solution. Now, when you have adequate amounts of iodine in the body will put 30 times as much iodine in the parts of the body exposed to the outside world as it does in the blood. So basically, you're encased in a shield of iodine. So why would the body want to do that? Keeps you from getting infections, right? So that's your first line of defense in your immune system, is to have a shield of iodine in every part of the body exposed to the outside world. Now, if a bug gets past that shield, then the white blood cells will go get the bug and try to kill it by making either ozone or peroxide. So your white blood cells kill with ozone. Now, you can get dehydrated Lugol solution. Namely, they take the water out of it and just put it into pills. These are 2 common brands, Ithroid, Ioderol, and I find there are 2 or 3 other people who have come into the market recently with these as well. So let's go on now that we've gotten past iodine and talk a little bit about type 2 hypothyroidism. And I encourage you to get Mark Starr's book, Hypothyroidism Type 2, because it's a well-written book and explains in much greater detail what I'm about to tell you. Now, up to 90% of the American population has undiagnosed hypothyroidism. And the reason is that we docs are trained to look primarily at blood tests. The Pituitary gland produces thyroid stimulating hormone, and that causes the thyroid gland to put out a hormone called T4. So we docs tend to look at those, particularly this one, and if it comes back normal, we tell you that your thyroid's working just fine. But that's just part of the story, because T4 has to be converted to the active form of T3. So you can have normal TSH and normal T4, but if you can't convert it to T3, you're still hypothyroid. Now, the conversion from T4 to T3 requires iodine, selenium, zinc, iron, progesterone, cortisol, and glutathione. And if you're missing one of these guys, you make a fake hormone called reverse T3 or RT3. The problem with RT3 is it fits in the keyhole, but it won't turn the key, you see? But it takes up the spot, so T3 can't get there either. Well, many people, as I told you, the majority of the U.S. population is iodine deficient. The only people in the U.S. who aren't iodine deficient are those that eat seaweed every day. So everybody else is iodine deficient because you need about 1,000 times what you get out of salt to be healthy. So most people don't have iodine. Many are deficient in zinc and many in iron, and of course a lot of people are often deficient in glutathione. So many people have normal blood tests but are still not able to make T3. Now, another reason for being hypothyroid, and that is thyroid hormone is made with iodine, and iodine is a halogen, and the other halogens are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. Here they are in the periodic table. The problem is that fluorine here is a bully. So anytime there's an atom of fluorine and an atom of any of these other guys in the same neighborhood, fluorine pushes them out of the way and takes their place. So here's T4, a protein with 4 iodines on it, but when you consume fluoride, you get this guy. The problem is that the blood test can't tell the difference between these two, but this one doesn't work. So every time you consume fluoride, which you do when you drink water, brush your teeth, go to the dentist, and they lather fluoride in your mouth. Soy contains large amounts of fluoride, etc., etc. There are lots of sources of fluoride in our environment, unfortunately, and we end up with all this fake hormone. So you go to your doc and say, "Doc, I feel terrible. I'm tired all the time. My hair's falling out. My skin is dry. I'm constipated. I have no interest in sex anymore. My GI system's a mess," and on and on and on. And he said, "Well, there's nothing wrong with you because your blood tests are all normal. Go home." All right? Yeah. That's the way it works. Well, it's because the blood test missed this. You see that? Here's what a normal thyroid gland looks like, and this is what fluoride does to it. So even if you take iodine, people say to me, "I'm just going to take lots of iodine and then my thyroid will start working again." Well, this thyroid gland has problems making thyroid hormone even if you got iodine, because it's too bad, too far gone. Fluoride's destroyed it. So basically, by the way, there are several things besides fluoride that will take down your thyroid function. High above those is soy, but also petrochemicals, fuel exhausts, hormones in meat and chicken, plastics. If you take a bottle of water and you leave it out in your car and then you go out after it's been hot and you drink it, you can taste the plastic. Well, that stuff you're tasting in there is shutting down your entire endocrine system, including your thyroid. Sodium lauryl sulfate is what's in your toothpaste. That's why. Did you know there's a poison control marker on toothpaste? Look at it when you get home if you didn't know that. It's because of sodium lauryl sulfate. And they put it in there so it'll bubble, because they sell more of it if it bubbles when you brush your teeth. Herbicides, pesticides, and so forth, all of those things shut down thyroid function. Now, remember that I told you that T3 controls body temperature. 40% of T3 is used to keep your body temperature normal. 60% is used to control your body voltage. So since we can't really rely on blood tests to tell us what's going on, we rely primarily on body temperature and body voltage to tell us if you're hypothyroid. So what you want to do is put a thermometer at your bedside, and when you wake up in the morning, you throw the covers off, and you wait about 4 minutes to get used to not being covered up, and then you take your temperature. Don't do it in the mouth, because dental infections and sinus infections will make that number artificially high.